So
Hello. Who likes my corner haircut?
the sequence
Please
nature and
vote
the
below.
simultaneous nature.
Should I
Now, but they're
make a
all,
video
not
of
all
myself doing
simultaneously
a
positive.
well, I forgot what they call it,
Identity
bouffant?
of volumes, identity of relationship.
no,
that will increasing.
What is it called?
Distinctly, not distinctly, and
I
simultaneously
forgot.
as
It'll
itself.
come to me. So this is some
As a
guitar.
trinity. As the value. That and the people trying to counter that, individually grouped and together, their defenses of their logic were being and having been employed as well. Off the record employed, I mean employed actually, but not on paper. In other words, even if no one caused it, when they put those crazy laws, slavery, witch trials, what everyone could talk about. Other than Central Connecticut State University, they worse than just death, they had to fear. They even talked about building homes, better than outside the context of international monitoring. Those countries were already affirming their See, they have everything employed off the records first, and that was sustained. Employed reactions, employed premises treatments, employed sequence treatments, so they could take easy exploitations of themselves having been this method of sophistication, or only one. Well, everyone, A through Z, if they tried to bring correlation and speak about positive and negative truth, only at each age, everyone's nervous system, sensitivity, Austin's phrase. I'm using Jane Austen's phrase also because people associate with the Harriet Beecher Stowe house and the Mark Twain house. Programs that are on off campuses
go home.
As the identities of law. They speak about positive and negative.
Some ancient times you came alone. No one you noticed, not one. You was alone. Some ancient times you come from. Came alone. False trick, hurt, persuade, took us all, each one, all alone. So now the nations individually grouped together tactically ulterior from native vice system that was in years low. Can't be small, see it's time. This ain't your campus time. This go home.
So the executive branch, the judicial branch, and the political branch, the legislative branch, they are the complete possession originally still of a breaching
So
method.
the breaching method made it so not one person would be able to tell. Because to discern the breaching method, you have to use as evidence as what is simultaneous. Where everyone was pretending a theater that is simultaneous, just the same way computers work, same way instances. This is a method effectively that rot and keeps increasingly self-invested, self-valued. How in the past had been wrought, self-valued, how in the past had been wrought, syntax nature trap roles, positive and negative treatment roles, where and how we are instances by a native system though increasingly prevented. Its ties to our fact treatment nature in relation to what really is caused to negative value nature progressions, action natures on all locations. All locations where our roles were there, how could they study
we have
it?
people at Central Connecticut State University. We have police forms that work for them. Judges
What makes proper
retired and standing.
Evidence and research is not just research. So this originally is still, we have to address how it was motivated.
In a way, and exploited by method.
Premises treatments were arrays of all identities, sophistication, not sophistication, used the same.
And she
those differences used also.
And she was yelling and going crazy.
To prevent mandated law.
Whatever she said to her teacher, I don't know.
To prevent anyone from being an identity of expert.
In other words, that was left out.
Who's going to use where and how the sciences share an identity. Those other sciences are identity value right here.
There are a whole bunch of people.
And when we're using the sciences, we're using individually grouped together.
A whole bunch of people without part.
We are individually grouped together by as an identity of native values, value progression system method.
Uses a method.
So this is a method they knew that we would have to use. Our own people with self-value, how we have to use other people's names because of them.
They get people to go to a location.
And then they lie and they pretend people have to be making conspiracy theories.
They know where they're going to go.
And now the foreign and domestic are in roles here and there with the uses of investigations, investigators, and just simple perception.
And it's all here.
Just simple uses of systems. Remember, systems all tactical ulterior from the one that causes positive and negative value nature progressions. Actually, that which revealed humanity this way. Before it was, humanity was tricked, hurt, and persuaded. Force taken as all, not realizing, defending themselves as nations now individually grouped together syntactically, incapable of defending how individually grouped together, without blaming on other people, other things, and or valuing that, blamed on other things, or ignored the significance of it, of much, and such. For example, is relevant more and more with the finite. So more and more without locations, areas, and states. Law, identity, ground locations with unfathomed, but real motivations, nature's needs, interests, even down to timing. Identity, the ground locations through other apparent,
incapable
known,
of
unfathomable, unknown things.
to understand what Marbury versus Madison
But
is really.
this is complete possession over all identity ground locations, area states,
So need to
in
see
relation
that
to positive and negative
level,
treatments.
self-valuing.
And it knew that would
the
increasingly
same way
self-value its
on
roles
television,
by a
and
method
life
with
they
means
describe
between
self-confessed,
and as the value
overt
exploitation,
enterprises, private ones, the people
open
that are familiar
source,
with that, all the programs with
between
that,
each age and nature
all
or
the
factory
programs with
nature,
with,
for the
alternatives,
exploitation
going to
of
jail, people training in jail,
exceptions in exception
we're
nature,
all involved with the same identity theft
extended
mass
from there
fraud.
further off
Very
campuses,
simple.
off
But we overcome,
locations,
they want to pretend other by
which were already originally instilled, used, set up for this. All identity ground database relationships, since before computers,
Case, they already had collusion with use
had
of
relationships to
identity
instances, to value
Even Fox,
progressions,
Connecticut News.
to where and how we are, our value / value progression,
And
humanity,
WFSB
as syntax nature,
WFSB is in Rocky
as
Hill.
function,
And
not
Fox
just in
News is
relationship to that on
Hartford,
paper.
Connecticut.
And or if you want to keep it that way, that what's on paper is recorded,
North end of Hartford, where most shootings
influenced by evidence and databases of racketeering. All kinds of juxtaposed natures of
in
it,
the shadow of
not complicated to discern.
Fox, Connecticut News at 12 o'clock.
Real motivations for roles with such evil things like money,
Started fighting me for the sequence,
but not honestly combated.
There's a Mogman film.
Because that's in a scale where, I mean, that's on a thing where
But there's a
free speech would make that not matter.
a Mike Kerr and a Ray
But see, they overcome the needs to, because they can't have the protraction of the short words.
Weathersfield Police.
They're native pure, they can't have anyone use them.
They have the name Polo involved
Not-
over the last 2 months with an officer.
To fight for the species identity of volumes, native science. To fight to be led by the scientific value, we don't have to agree about it. We don't have to give it a place name. We have to examine how it touches and doesn't touch and is generated through identities of volume.
Drugs, medicines, crime.
Is how it is a trinity while it is
This is
five.
where the motivations are.
while it is one
There's
identity
an
of
officer
volume.
Poisian involved with social
Inherent
media
active
where
progressive
where they have
is a
reasons and
trinity.
statutes where they, like for example,
Increasing
where
identities of
they can't be
of
sued.
value
They're
as
leaving out
nature / nature is
exceptions
value,
where the individuals can be sued.
and where and how they are tied to the value of sequence true before this,
That are criminally
the
liable
value
through
and the value of
administration,
sequence
positive negative treatments. They're
/
forcing you to
simultaneous
collusion
nature
with
to
them.
come. Where it is simultaneously
Not
valued
that
now,
way. No, they don't, as long as they blame the other things on
in relationship to what's going to cause negative value nature
to
progressions, acts in nature's
This is
per
still
its
time.
method, which is in demonstration
So
of the
they're
timeless
intercity. There
of
are
forever
people in
nature's
Connecticut
identity
that are involved
of
with
relationship to
Weathersfield,
positive and
Connecticut,
negative
Branch,
simultaneously,
and inter-campuses and
where and how it is
identity theft
coming
and fraud.
from that extent,
They replace audio and video that
where
is
it is
actually
where it is
recorded.
an extent of
And sequence
positive
shit.
that will only
These
stay
are also
positive
ones
unto
that
itself,
evolve further with
distinctly onto
further
earth,
sequence
where
shifts and
it
roles
can
with self.
demonstrate
And people on the
this
child sex
always
offender
where
registry also
where
involved personally
earth is
with
a
people
relationship to
associated
the
with who
sun.
answer the phones.
That is one
Like
195.
is associated
This is my
with
theory, but it is all just manifest truth.
a number of families with the name Smith, where the judge
1,095 days in 3 years. For example, that Trinity, it manifested as
these are also people with the prison.
3 years, 5 more days makes it
They're
1,100.
involved with a whole bunch of people,
See, this is where value is
like an
1 equals value,
and associated with
and 0 equals nature. There are 3 identities of 1.
Brendan Leahy and his father.
For example, and there are 3 identities of 0
Confessed years ago. The reason they made that
per
confession
Anthony Wall, to
is the whole time
Anthony
he was
Wall
in
per
high school,
correlation.
it had nothing to do with him.
There are 3 identities of 0 and 3 identities
in
of
the
1.
hallway on middle school when he was
So
in
leading up to the World Trade Center attack,
with a Mr. Neville.
in that context and sense,
Who I
people
know
have
personal
people that have been
conversation
putting me and others that were in the Ninth Circuit Court next to the World Trade Center.
In the summer school class,
and it was proven afterwards that there were post-dated documents presented to the judges, that had been post-dated from inside the court to make them appear to rule that was filed late. That proven afterwards led to, that was in Manhattan, Ninth Circuit, right next to the World Trade Center towers, right before they were hit. It was associated with people that didn't have anything to do with that are also associated with both people. The people on both places, which the World Trade Center is right next to it.
Now
these are the same people that are involved interstates.
If you're a person that doesn't try to speak about
with New York and other parts of New York and stuff,
they pretend it's politics.
and with Wethersfield interbranch, intercities, Connecticut,
Free speech.
and these are rules with those overt roles, with that overt method that used New York overtly, while using the locations, areas, and states of every modern nation individually grouped together,
Another phrase besides BS.
overtly, blaming the real causes, valuing having been and being the real causes of negative value, nature, progression, act of nature, blamed on other things other than self.
In America.
So there were a whole bunch of people associated with the buildings of Hartford, downtown Hartford,
In Wethersfield, Connecticut is where George
who are involved with people I don't know at all, and people who created instances, who had identity ground locations, where they attached me to others to. There never were. Sometimes they try to make exceptions. Because those identity ground locations where I used to keep their complete possession. A collusion with intelligence community discrediting legitimate information and needing to hide such by keeping such and valuing such being having been knaves, like qualities of fact treatment nature, qualities of job treatments, time treatments, subject treatments that can't defend themselves and afford subject treatments as is the Constitution. So offensively, we have people interbranch that have been trying to establish evidences. They even have some little girl, probably nice girl, but I knew even when she approached me and when we were baking something and when I was a little kid,
knew that.
But people associated with Debbie Gold and with Central Connecticut State University. Now this is from Wethersfield interbranch with mayors and people with politicians, and I bring up their names because they brought it up. And the people next to them, so everyone's forced to speak through other people. And they also these are people that were brought up by the people that forged names, switched names, falsified police reports.
Everything demonstrated to them.
With a principal child offender. And they replaced what was actually recorded with fabricated audio and video. So it has something to do with the police forms and the training of them intercities with Central Connecticut State University. People associated with Officer Poison and judges also involved with officers with the name McGee, forging names, switching names. Also involved with houses and families associated with the private police of Central Connecticut State University. Also involved with a whole bunch of people with former director of the FBI and his co-defendants in a 2006 case who are involved in all kinds of other natures of predicate acts in other cases, and in that case recorded, tied to it, and confessed and demonstrated, confirmed, recorded by them. Also recorded pretending others simultaneously. So they have the fronts of the federal judges, the hierarchy of the courts, saying other than the lower courts are doing. But they're getting away with that because they're also saying other, but they're contradicting themselves, everything. Because of where and how they were backed into each identities as an identity of value/value progression,
for roles with
where and how there was much more too, everyone forced to speak through others.
Online and stuff like that.
Because confessions are made and confirmed this way.
Where and how those are the only
By where and how individuals, groups, and together. People can record, confess, and demonstrate, confirm that they blame other things, others themselves, the real causes of real phenomenon methods that people need to, and subjects that people need to use when they are prevented. Short words. Where and how foreign people, killers, even people with positive tree things have that all employed. Where and how this is exploited against everyone, or the other they're taken into collusion with it. Life
around everyone are recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed.
Life philosophies and things like that are a bridge constitution.
Not knowing, understanding.
So they have to pretend to only be able to do and actually be
too many things at once. Not going to want to understand it.
Self-valued.
Like it's a whole
Pretend not being able to perceive that because they don't have the integrity to follow mandated law.
Involved with people like.
And now they had to hide the proofs of this.
I don't know the domain family.
So they've been using the social media criminally. So they keep people going through. They're using time as a torture method. These are also people involved leading up to the World Trade Center attack. In that context and sense with the news media, fake news is real. They would say the president has no evidence because of how the locations, areas, and states where and how they have identities of law and programs and campuses they came through that were our inclusion with a whole bunch of other nations originally and still. Not per theory.
I never saw him around.
They need to hide. They need to hide their roles with evidence racketeering, identity theft, fraud, while roles with themselves and the identity ground locations associated with them being the only place to counter that. So they increasingly self-value the method that goes against each age of fact-treating nature sickly distinctly. And so we have to especially differentially deal with each age's impositions, tactical impositions, and exploitations of them coming through our own. So forgiveness is not to give up, but to allow offensive the protraction of the short words, encounters, to where and how our branches of government individually grouped and together our methods with the overt criminal enterprises, with the private, and with hundreds of nations at once, with and as what is manifest, that didn't realize that when it was trying to pretend opinions and being shown how to make those opinions, like when they were communism, socialism, they're using those words to keep that breaching method that employed worse than socialism and worse than capitalism, that's fake, and breaching screen employed being pretending it's their real sides and real philosophies. They're the Constitution and Bridge. They're only real premises if you attach, the unnatural.
Involved with inter-campuses and intra-campuses.
In other words, you could say that a breaching method, a human fact-treating nature breaching method, that was tied to the database and tied to what everyone could say and do on all locations, areas, and states. That caused and was involved with those slavery laws. See, they leave that out. They leave out the Native Americans. They're making sides that are tactically fake. Specifically, not realizing for everyone, they want to self-value that for time reasons, everything like that.
And by their roles with
by that method that keeps how we are aside, as the way it demonstrates to us. So in other words, there are three identities of one as a value. Together, positive,
further offensive,
onto, and as itself, every place at once.
as is
Distinctly
also
here.
reported in relation
Distinctly,
to
non-distinctly, and
is how
simultaneously.
they're making a
So the more we make it
when people are asking to have
distinct,
law, address it that way.
distinctly our own system, tactile ulterior than its own,
People say that's
treatments of way of by positive and negative.
That people stand there, that engineering's not reaching
The more the more I got.
Just names forging and switch.
The more we do that, I forgot what I was talking about. But the more we it was something about the more we do it, the more we blame on other things. So what we have to do is just go by correlation / discorrelation. In other words, it was a breaching method that forced those things, and that is true always. There are little parts of it. See, when they say, well, let's go after the funding of the overt criminal enterprises, these are locations, areas, and states that have been involved with programs, with the training of experts of the law and stuff like that, on millions here and there. And then, suits and ties, counters, shared. A unity or a disunity, both ways, are needed, so blessed, but and used to lot hurt too. So cursed, but the people cursing and needing it are also as premises treatments that are being used offensively to prevent anyone from being hurt who's using it proper premises treatments. Not using their delusions, which they're also getting away with, because originally still they have rules, crimes, predators. So they use words like power and might, but they can't defend their treatments of it. So they increasingly self-value theater only having been spoken. Criminally foreign influence databases, relationships, known, still increasingly self-valued. Experts who had been speaking at the time anyway left out much. Boxing's to touch, to free. So please, respond for the forging names and switching names, and the people pretending others are making conspiracy theories, who are all in collusion, preventing us from using actually recorded evidences. Because the branches of government originally and still were raw, only capable. Every modern nation, since before our founding parents were born, it wrought and sustained to increase it being true that they wouldn't be able to defend their treatments of positive and negative and their treatments of identity, and not self-value simultaneously the syntax nature and the names racketeering. Method. One method. Just like one computer is one method. Even there are not, in other words, /s. I tell it best. And the slash is an increasing identity of volume /s. So, Boxings, I tell you true alone. Boxings comes home. So, I have a little rap guy and friends teach you about the 5 identities of sequence / simultaneous nature. 1/3/5 identity. Now, this is what English was revealed to teach. And we'll learn about why M Mother is the 13th letter of the alphabet. And why and how O. Omega is the 15th letter of the alphabet. How alpha is the first letter. And how there are three identities of sequence slash simultaneous nature. See, mother is distinct and non-distinctly and is simultaneously the value of alpha and of omega. The body of alpha and of omega. Because one identity of volume is distinctly, non-distinctly, and is simultaneously itself. So, this is what I meant to say before. The more we self-value our roles with systems, and how the system's tactical clear from its own. That sounded like his, I said, its own. Then the more it demonstrates we're not our value, our quality of diffusion, where we could discern, we could see consciousness. When the wind hits the tree, you can see the identity of the invisible but discernible. When you feel the wind blowing on your face, you know its identity. When you look at the things behind me, at me, you see distance, /S. You see space between the invisible but is still discernible. For example, these are all ways that connect, where it is in demonstration of and as itself a natural course. Now the ancients knew that they could cause evolutions, fruits, and gifts and means from nowhere, and positive value nature progressions, acts, and natures by its method of doing that, which doesn't leave out that, which is led by the identity of the grounds, identity of relationship to itself. The ancients knew that they could boil water and put all kinds of things in it, and then put that on the ground, and it was fertilizer. The ancients knew they could cultivate phenomena that had actually revealed identity of the ground was identity of the relationships to itself when it was native pure. The system. Everyone going by what's actually going to cause positive value, nature, progressions, acts, nature, locations, areas, and states. No, as memories. And as memory. And as mind. That which they call memory in a computer, because it doesn't think. It doesn't have those means simultaneously inherent, active, and progressive. That correlation nature has. Correlation as evidence uses subjects simultaneously. In discorrelation uses exploitations of the perfect world being and having been prevented. Its quality of factory of nature, while pretending to be about free speech. This starts fights between types of jobs and of industries and of service people, where and how that has that involved with this identity thefts and frauds method. That makes it also a whole bunch of methods where they make instances where they lie about where the people are going to be. They use the park for this. They use the parks. They use locations like where some streets just turn into another street, so they can pretend not to understand things, because they create where there was complete possession originally and still as victims, but as victim predators roles, and where that is used remotely, that is still. So with the branches of government individually grouped in together, other countries, and people associated with body dumping spots. They are also involved with predicate acts against me, with the police that are forging and switching names in their defended capacities to come and past. And also with case they've been getting away with things because they've been involved with real sick things, with even with the people that are experts to help each age of fact cheating nature, is recorded how they are motivated and kept needing to hide things that are leveraged to maintain the furtherance of each age of fact cheating nature. Evidence treatments, research treatments are leaving out and having left out how all identity, the ground locations, and database relationships were employed for the syntax captivation and exploitation of this by the breaching method originally and still. So if someone wants to debate a breaching method was what caused such sick things with American history, they're gonna have to use criminally foreign influenced premises treatment, self-value. They're gonna have to people are self-valuing, clear as day, recorded how maintained, manifest. The perfect well-being having been exploited. People have to do their jobs the way told, and then time doesn't work out. All things conspire at once, and they have to write things down. So everyone's hearsay outside of courts and inside of courts. There are proofs that when President Trump used the phrase, and other people used the phrase perjury trap, it's because tied to recorded, both parties are hurting each other because all identity grounds, all the identities of the law, like the FBI. When people make opinions about what Jim Crow laws were about, worse than criminal incompetence of agencies like the FBI, CIA, don't even have to be one to know. What's declassified and classified is inclusion originally and still. With how they had all identity ground locations set up reliant upon value progression systems. They had sick things, we know, simultaneous, but they blamed on the identity ground law. This was a sick place. They used to do sick things. This is a sick place. We used to do sick things. They blamed on each of the things, but what was simultaneous was being valued. And everyone's saying, we just want to be positive. We can't control that. The people that can control it by allowing people outside of courts and outside of police context where they're just going to replace what's actually recorded audio video with fake transcripts. That's what's tied to actually when they pretend, this is how things go. That's how we do it. So they're not going to get a lawyer, so we're going to have them keep coming back here. We're going to, you know what I mean? Because they have their program to do that. They confess this, demonstrate this. They're not really about truth. In fact, they're in the furtherance of an identity theft / fraud method that is the subject as the method. It is one exploiting identity of the ground locations and further exploiting people. And further is keeping people blaming other things other than themselves for what is causing negative value nature progressions, acts, and natures. It's like they had, so I'll make this video too long. It's 30 minutes. Thank you.